How's everyone doing? This is your boy. This one is going to be a cryptic piece. It's about the Ningen. Or Ningen, I think it's Ningen as that's pronounced, if I remember right. But either way, it's a Japanese-oriented cryptid, which is very fascinating. At first, stories about this thing first started originating around 2chan, on the 2chan website and all that. I want to say in the early 2000s, from what I remember right. Anyway, this thing, you gotta understand, the Japanese, a lot of what they do revolves around whale hunting and fishing and different things like that. It's been part of their culture for as long as Japan's been around. And of course, the modern times ain't no exception. Leave it at that. Now, what exactly is this thing? It's not really known, to be honest. It started out kind of as a creepypasta thing. But as I said before, the human mind has powerful abilities. When people think about something, you can will it to reality. People don't understand that. I do, but even then it's barely. From my own personal experiences, even through dreams, etc., etc. This ain't about me. So, what exactly does this thing look like? And where could it come from? Like I said, it could be from the human mind, or maybe maybe the human imagination. It just channel things not of this existence or of this plane of existence, I should say. It supposedly is a very large, massive creature, and of course, in the Antarctic waters. And it's white. Think of just a white, streamlined mass with a human face. This thing could be anywhere from 60 to 100 feet long. That's like the size of a blue whale. It's huge. However, there have also been sightings of something similar hopping around, white, human face, just a big body, and it's on two legs or whatever, maybe two small ones, two front legs that are small or not at all. And again, there's been photos and stuff taken of this thing. I don't know what the hell it is, if it exists, and I'm pretty sure some variant does of some sort. I think there's a lot of misidentification, because you have large, you have a lot of large Arctic creatures. It could be anything from maybe some small, something similar to a beluga whale or anything like that, or giant squid. And of course, again, it could be anything really. But I also think there's something in there, in that water. There's something down there, and Ningen means human. So whatever this thing is it's probably, I don't know, it could be anything. Maybe something, because of course, both the North and the South Poles are notorious for having there's research that goes on in places like that, because it's not really claimed by any normal territory of a country, at least to a certain extent. So there's a lot more freedom to do things, and of course, it's also remote and isolated, you know what I'm saying? So, it's very easy for, how can I say this, for different corporations, even government, scientists, and all that stuff to do research, which would be considered very unethical, under the normal banner of a country. So I'm pretty sure there's all kinds of, black site type ops and crazy, weird crap going on out there. I'm going to leave it at this. This thing could definitely be something like that. Maybe they were tinkering around with only God himself knows what, and something got loose, maybe deliberately. I don't know. But there have been reports, like I said, by Japanese whalers, sailors, seamen, things like that. What the hell this thing could be. And he also, and what would be confusing to me is how the hell, if it is something that, it may be two variants, like a land version or just a sea version, or maybe it can change shape, who the hell knows. If it's that kind of thing, it's definitely a spiritual being made flesh, not just physical, talking about. And I definitely believe that to be possibly the case. If that's the case, and it's something that got cooked up, it's definitely not old world. It's definitely similar to many old world entities out there. And I don't know, like I said, I think it has something to do with some kind of research or exploration going on out there that people ain't got no business doing. But also it could be an old world creature that just got discussed, has basically been around, and, with the way social media and technology is now, it's harder to hide such a creature. So I think it's very possible that whatever the hell this thing is, possibly could have been under that ice all the entire time. Just Like I said, people are just now being able to really report what they've seen. There's been a lot of creepypastas and all kinds of stuff, and I still hate that term. Just that revolve around this thing. Human imagination, people getting creative. Like, hey, I've been there. More power to you if you do that. But at the same time, I think there's definitely some fact that's based around whatever the hell this thing is. What I'd like to know is if it's as big as, like the size of a blue whale, how the hell would it be able to... I mean, blue whales and large cetaceans like that, they're able to feed themselves through plankton. Bear with me here. And there's a lot of that. Especially in the, especially in the oceans, So, if this thing is like that, it speaks for itself. But if it's not, and it's able to sustain itself some other way, like I said, if it's a spiritual creature that's rendered flesh, it probably wouldn't need a lot of the natural stuff that we, us flesh and blood creatures would need to sustain our bodies. There's been all kinds of suspicion on what this thing could be. I personally think, like I said, probably cooked up in a lab, maybe, or something that has been out there. We're just now able to really have more documented, and I think that loosely, sightings of this thing, or reports, etc., etc. I also believe firmly that whatever this thing is, it could also be us human beings are very good at misidentifying things. Hell, it could be a massive chunk of ice that was, in the shape of something that is kind of freaky. And of course, you could think that, you already have, many Japanese folks that are very superstitious. The entire culture revolves around a lot of that, to be honest with you. I'm just saying, your average Japanese mindset, let me tell you something, they're definitely more technologically connected to certain things than we are in the West, but at the same time, they're still a very spiritual people. So you're talking about something that, I'm just saying, especially if someone's that superstitious, they might be able to misidentify something it's there, but it ain't what they're thinking, if you know what I'm saying. So who the heck knows? But I do believe this thing is very fascinating. And to say the least, it's different, I'll tell you that. This ain't really like any other cryptid that I've really looked up, because honestly, it's, like I told you, it's not often that you think of something the size of a whale that has long limbs and, like I said, the face of a person. Who the hell knows? Maybe it's some kind of, like I said, maybe it's some kind of creature that has an evolutionary situation that's, and yes, evolution is a thing. Now, it's not the way Darwin had it, but evolution simply means to change. That's all it means. To evolve means to adapt or change. I think it's in Greek. Don't quote me on that. But either way, there are certain situations that do prove that. More elephant, a lot of times elephants lately are being born without tusks. Snakes in Australia, they're no longer going after those cane toads that's an invasive species and toxic as hell, and will kill you if you get it. They're poison on you. And definitely if it's ingested. So, something to think about, if you get my drift. So, and reptiles are supposed to supposedly develop much slower than us mammals do. So that's something to take into consideration. Maybe this is some kind of creature that evolved for some reason has that kind of face. Who the hell knows? But this is just fascinating to me. This is one of them videos that I enjoyed the hell out of making, because it's different. It's something that, it's just hard to imagine. In some ways, an upright candid like a dog man is even more understandable than this, if you get my drift. But either way, I definitely think something's behind the sightings. But either way, I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. I'm going to put out like I said, I'm going to start putting out more videos and, kind of getting back on the grind this next year. So I just want to put that out there. Feel free to tell me what you think in the comments, what this thing could be. But for right now, you guys be blessed and you be safe.